Hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of the Strong and Capable podcast. I'm your host, Heller, and I have two fabulous, life-filling, energy-giving ladies with me. I have Gina and Holli, and they are, well, I was ready to cancel this podcast, as I just told them, not because they're not amazing, but because I was not feeling it today. And they're just bringing the energy totally up again. And I'm so excited for you to hear what they have to say. You ladies want to say hey?
Hey,
Hello,
good morning. Good morning.
Us.
We're thrilled to be here.
Yes.
We're thrilled to be here.
I am too. I'm glad that we both showed up.
Me
Sometimes
too.
that's what it is, right?
Extra credit on a Friday morning, just for showing up. Double credit.
Yes. So these fabulous ladies, you guys got to know, have their own podcast, and they have a lot of fun. I was going through your interviews and who you have. You guys have had some fascinating guests on your podcast.
It's truly
Yeah.
blessed.
Who recently has been someone that just changed your, kind of rocked your world a little bit? Was like, wow, that was interesting.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to say Anouk.
Yeah, Nuke was great, but she's
She's-
not out yet.
Oh, well, that's all right. We can she will be by the time Brigitte.
Brigitte.
Brigitte. Okay. Brigitte.
Brigitte. You
Yes.
gotta have a
I
zhuzh in there, a
know.
little
Listen,
zhuzh.
I mean, one mistake only.
Yeah, one
But
mistake
she'll be
only,
out
yes.
by then.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're
Okay,
absolutely
so
right. Yes,
we
she was
had
great.
Anouk Bindells, and she's a transformational coach, and her background is science, and then she became very sick, and there were all
Yeah.
kinds of life tragedies, and she came through that to the other side very fearlessly,
Mhm.
and started adding wholeness to her
Practice, really.
and she healed herself. And one of the things that was life-changing was her story about what is trauma,
Mhm.
because we always think like trauma is something bad happened to you, and I think that as a world we're evolving to what that looks like in today's world. And she
Mhm.
had made a comment that both Gina and I sat there going, oh my God, and we started getting teary-eyed, and she
Yeah.
said, trauma isn't just what happened to you, it's the good things that didn't happen to you. And we were like, oh, okay, that's a moment. So that's
Yeah.
coming out soon. And
Yeah.
she does week-long retreats in the Netherlands. And we were like, we want to get on a plane and go.
Yeah.
Hang out with her and walk around with her for a while.
She was featured in the first chapter of Supernatural by Dr. Joe
Yeah.
Dispenza. Her story is
Mm.
it was just the most
Yeah.
incredible conversation of, somebody who's really taken and integrated their life experiences into their practice to give back to, to people in just a more profound, holistic way. It was a beautiful conversation. And yeah, it's not, the trauma doesn't come from bad things happening to you, but that good things that did not happen was like, I mean, that so resonated with me and some of my, my story. It was incredible to hear that. I'm like, okay, that's where that hurt comes from.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting thing to start with, to lead with, because this season's about fearless, right?
Yes.
And when you talk about being fearless and trauma, some of the trauma, like you said, the good things that didn't happen, how often is it because we were scared
Absolutely.
and we didn't do it? We're
Yeah.
scared. And so then there's these things that they're deep, deep pains that,
Yeah.
man, if I had just tried, what could have been, right? Is part of that.
Well, I think trauma does hold us back from being fearless. Exactly.
Yeah.
It is something that, you get kind of, I don't want to say stuck in, but you get a little stuck in it, and then it's hard to move forward.
Yeah.
I have always known that how do I put this? I always knew I was in the wrong career. And Gina and I met, so we're corporate executives.
We worked together for 18 years.
Worked together for 18 years. I'm the last finance person you can know, but I was the CFO. So we're executives, and
Mhm.
Gina's the director of HR. So that's how we met. But even prior to that, I worked at a CPA firm, and I always knew that this wasn't for me, yet I continued to do it. And so when you talk about being fearless, it's that after the pandemic, I'm part of the Great Resignation. So I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. And so it's like, how do you gear up to leave something that I guess your identity is into it. I mean, but it's not right. I mean, I always knew it wasn't right. And so, and of course, Gina helped me. And, but that is one of the things, that being fearless doesn't mean let's all quit our jobs tomorrow if we hate it, but there was a strategy behind it. So once I opened the door to, okay, this is a possibility. How do I navigate this? Because I am, a single and I have children that I'm putting through college. And so it's not like I can just go, oh, I'm independently wealthy. Let's just quit the job and, travel around Sedona. Okay. And find a vortex. And, although I really do want to do that.
Yeah, she really does.
But
Well, let me know when you come. I'm there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
We'll go hang out together.
Yeah.
And so
We'll listen to some a flutist.
Yes.
A
flautist, Gina. And so I think that, once you have to just say, okay, I got to open the door to that this is a possibility. And, me saying, oh, my kids need medical, I can't go. Okay, well, let's rethink that. And so there's a big part about being fearless is about really, it's your mindset.
Sure.
And I know you've talked about that. And
my story is different than Holli's in that I feel like I was more fearless when I was young. And then, I grew up here in Washington State, wanted to be rich and famous. I swore I was going to travel to work every day in a helicopter. I was going to win an Oscar. I was big, big. And so I was, I grew up like that. I had family supporting me, and I went to school in Nashville. Didn't know a soul. I moved down there and, lived off campus and made my way and made friends and, fell in love with a boy from home. And, I was doing demo tapes. I could have done, worked for Reba McEntire for 4 years. I mean, I had all the opportunity in front of me. And I was afraid to step into it, whether I was ready or good enough or pretty enough and all the things. And so I said, I really want my kids to grow up. I want it, near their grandparents. And I made up all these reasons why it would be good to go home. That life is not what it looks or appears. And maybe I don't want it, which is not true. But that's how I sold it to myself. Right. And so I come home, I return home and I'm like, I got to find a good job. I ended up finding the organization that Holli and I both worked at through a friend who got me a job offer or job interview for an HR assistant. And it sounded miserable, to be honest. I mean, compared to what I was going to do, I think the minute I walked in the lunchroom and realized that no one will tell me the good jokes anymore, they stopped talking, it's funny or good. I was like, well, okay, I just made the wrong turn. I'm like, not gonna work for me. So, I kept putting myself out there, and it was hard for me. So, that took guts to do it. I should have been fearful about a corporate job. It was not in my wheelhouse, but I'm competitive. So I buckled down and got it done and kept growing and rising, but it was hard. And then I feel like you kind of lose that trust in yourself to be fearless. You kind of lose, you got to practice like anything in life. You have to practice it or it just doesn't come. And so when you get on a track that doesn't serve you for a long time, oftentimes, it does serve me, but just not in the way that feeds my soul. Isn't feeding your soul and serving you, and you just don't take those opportunities to kind of branch out. Our podcast was honestly a fearful moment for Holli. Gets in the car one morning, like Holli has, and she has this great idea to do this podcast. And she goes, I'm going to do a podcast, and I can't do it without you, and these crazy eyes. And I'm like, okay. And neither one of us ever had listened to a podcast. Like, okay, let's do it. And really bringing some of the conversations and friendship that we have to a broader audience was just our whole goal. And it was scary to put yourself out there, to tell your story, to talk about the things that are uncomfortable, like, where you're at in life, what holds you back, my weight, all the things that are hard to talk about. And it's been the biggest gift in my life. And it's taught me to be fearless again, because how the benefits of that have been just remarkable for me.
That's exactly how I feel about podcasting. Exactly. I have the sign behind me. It says walk sacred. And I choose to walk sacred is what it actually says. But the reason I have that back there is because the day I sat down to record my first episode of the podcast, I kept recording it and kept recording it. Just a solo cast, 15 minutes. I kept recording it, kept recording it. And I was like, this is so scary. I was so scared. And I finally hit my knees because I pray. That's what I do when I'm freaking out. And I had this thought. It says, Brigette, switch the 2 letters in scared from SCARED to SACRED.
Yes, I love
because
Yes.
when you move forward and you're scared, this is transformational ground, and transformational ground is sacred. This is very sacred ground.
I love that.
Listen.
And so now every time I get like, I'm like, oh no, this is great.
Space.
Yeah.
I'm going to transform. Yeah. So my question for you, this is when I was thinking about this interview and you ladies and your fun personalities, I was like, okay, what could be some fun questions? When was the last time that you truly felt fearless? What were you doing? I have an example. I want to hear yours first. And I was surprised by my answer when I was like, okay, when's the last time I actually felt fearless? What were you doing the last time you actually felt fearless?
You know, the pandemic has really screwed this situation up, to be quite honest. I have to think. Do you have one?
Well, I mean, I just quit my job.
Okay, you win. Yeah, that'll be the answer for a while.
That has to be, I mean, this is recent. I mean, this is within the past few months. Okay, so that's a huge one. I'm trying to think of fearless. I mean,
we do photo shoots for our podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as a chubby kid who had, I think has a different idea in her mind of what she actually looks like than she does. Those are scary for me, to be quite honest. I mean, so that was anytime fearless. I get there and I can get through it and I have fun and we get a few good photos out of it, I'm thrilled. I mean, that sort of stuff, it's old work I continue to do. And so anytime I can do that, I honor my ability to get in there and do it.
And you had fun. So you were fearless and you had fun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I'm always good. It's the leading up to it that is the fear. That's where you're getting your head, and the fear really comes is your old pattern or your old narrative.
But it's sacred now.
It's sacred.
Fear has been rebranded. I love to rebrand everything.
She does.
So you have rebranded, fear.
I think Brigette is a better rebrander than you are.
She really is. Hers is better.
I think so. Yeah, I like it. It's
about that, but
I can track with yours a little bit better than always. You should hear some of them. Yeah, but Holli does love to rebrand. So
I do. Everything should be rebranded.
Well, we're evolving, so of course it should be rebranded.
I know.
I'm a fellow rebrander.
Yes, you do. Yes, past friend.
True.
So what's your exciting?
Okay, so here's the thing with fearlessness is I realized when you talk about fearless, what we're seeking is that like light, that like, I am queen, I am rocking this, I'm owning this. Gina, you talked about a photo shoot. When you go in there and you actually accomplish it and you there's this feeling of like power that comes over you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're just like owning it. And that fearless is cool because when you choose to walk sacred, to overcome fear and you step into it, the actual result from it is more fearlessness in your life. Like you actually get those endorphins and all the hormones and all the good things that push you to do it again. Right. And so you grow. So this is such a silly example, but like you said, COVID, whatever. So before COVID, I was in Vegas with a bunch of cousins. We do a cousins retreat every other year. We used to until COVID. And we were all walking down the strip. And I had my sparkly high tops on and all the things, and I'm rocking down. And Vegas has always been scary for me because I grew up, I was pretty dang cute as a teenager, but I grew up with my mom.
Yeah, you still look like a pretty dang cute teenager. Let me just say that.
Let's just say that she's rocking the teen look.
I was thinking she just still was there. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. You can come on every week. I'll take it. But, I grew up with fearful stories with my mom and dad saying, don't look at anybody. They're going to steal you and cart you off to Mexico and you'll be someone's slave.
No, yes.
Right. Like, don't don't even talk to anyone because you might get injected with a drug, or like just horrible, crazy, fearful stories. Right.
Yep.
So here I am in my late 30s and I'm wandering down down the Vegas, and I'm like, I am no longer 16 years old and I'm no longer 90 pounds. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the target anymore. I'm pretty sure they are not looking at me like, grab her and run, people. And in this moment, I released all that fear, all those stories, like you said, and I strutted down Vegas. I mean, I was rocking those sparkly shoes. And what was funny is people started commenting, "Hey girl, yes girl, I see you." You know,
See,
I was like owning it,
right?
Yeah, but it was because I let go. It's such a small moment, but it was so freeing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all about bedazzlement too. Okay. So I love the glitter.
Yeah,
part of
you
the
two in
story.
Vegas, we just follow around. I do follow around in my black, just cleaning up after you. But yeah, I'll sweep the glitter behind the two of you.
Sweep the glitter.
Don't want to litter, so I'll just sweep the glitter. Yeah.
I would be tossing the glitter. The difference is I would think, oh yeah, I'm well past the demographic. I'm in my 50s, and so I would be like, oh yes, I'm still a target. I would be delusional. Yes, I'm still.
I don't think it's delusion, but you definitely were going to make yourself the target for sure. Although I really think the two of you, if you're going to be carted off you're going to go kicking and screaming. I think you two could take them down, even in your sparkles. I'm confident of that part. Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, but I love to drop the safety Susan every once in a while and just live in the moment, right? Yeah.
Part of what we have to have is you need to suggest a safe word, so that we know that you yell. Ours is PT Cruiser, and so anytime you hear PT Cruiser, we know you're getting carted off.
Or if your friend sends a text saying, "Hey, I just saw a PT Cruiser," you're like, "Okay, what time do I need to come get you?" Right.
We're on.
You need it. We found our safe word in Vegas, so it's important to have a safe word. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas, there's a lot. It's a wild city.
To need a safe word for. Right.
Yeah. The only city I found close to Vegas is Miami. When I was wandering around Miami, I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, we love Miami. So we like the same places.
We do.
There's a lot of action going on there.
Yeah, but on the beach, I love Miami. A couple blocks over, I was like, whoa, this is a different world here.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're right. For sure. Yeah. Blocks make a big difference in Miami. Yeah.
So anyway, that's my example of fearless. So I think when we're talking about fearless, it's that moment of freedom of like Holli, when you walked out of your job that last time, did you have that feeling?
Absolutely. And I still did some consulting, but like it kept getting freer and freer. And then I was like, I'm glad I did it, even though like, I don't know where I'm going. Now that's the second fearless part of it. Like I did not leave for another job. I have no idea where I'm going. And so I'm living in that right now. So what I would say is you shift your mindset out of fear or being scared, make it sacred. I love that. Okay. And be in the now, because I do get scared sometimes looking at the future. I'm like, oh, I need to get my stuff together. I have X amount of months, what's coming. And so, but there is that freedom of I let go of something that wasn't a part of who I am. So one of the things I would say is for your audience is if you're just starting thinking about this, it's like radical honesty with yourself will help you figure out where you need to free yourself. And then you look under the hood a little bit and say, okay, well, what beliefs are holding me back from stepping forward? Kind of like you did in Vegas, all this stuff that you heard as a child, what is, and it is a freeing feeling. It's like, okay, I wasn't that person. I'm thanking God every day that I made that change and I found that strategy to help me do that. And now I'm living in fearlessness right now. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it's life-giving. And that's what like for me, and I feel like you ladies, I'm always seeking what are the life-giving things in life. I don't need things that deplete my energy or pull me down. Right. And living in that fear, that is exhausting.
It's exhausting. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I do think that's a generational pattern. I'm glad you said that, Brigitte, because I think that is a generational pattern of when we look at our parents, my dad was an artist. He ended up going to work for his family business and did nothing that really filled him up. There was some creative parts of his work that he was very good at, but there was a kind of almost a regimented requirement to the creative, fun, lighter side of who you were had to come second to this more diligent, responsible part. And I definitely picked that up from my family. And I think, so for a number of years, I think I convinced myself that this was just what you should do. Like you said, this is what good people do. Like you just buckle down, you make a good living, you do your thing, and, fit the rest of the fun in and find yourself if and when you can in the spare time, right? Versus integrating the two. And that was a big part of why we started our podcast, is we really went to work on integrating who we are personally more into our corporate lives and our corporate experiences and leadership and how we approach team building and how we approached, our people work. That was a big part of both of our roles as executives. So, I think that was a step in the right direction. And then you can look at the job and say, okay, well, this still doesn't give me the broad enough platform for really what my soul needs or what I need to be fully present in this world. And then you kind of start to stair step it, but I think it really has to start with, like Holli said, radical honesty about where am I not showing up my full and authentic self, and then do that work first. And then the other next steps will appear around how you need, what other steps you need to take to really fully step in.
Yeah. And I think it takes a lot of courage to do what you guys are saying, have radical, at least for me, every time I have radical honesty with myself, sometimes I'm like, well, maybe we should get a book and sit on the couch and hide for a while, because this is scary. It's heavy. So I think, in this world of like social media and our phones and all the things that could easily distract us, we could easily binge watch a Netflix show, right? Like we just had a moment of radical honesty. It was very painful. Let's go watch Bridgerton.
Well, now that helps.
There's some radicalness there for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's what I found. It's like you take the fearless step and then you have to take just one more to actually make the change.
That's right.
Baby step to actually see that radical honesty through, or else you're just beating yourself up for why.
But I do think like a Bridgerton episode really uplifts my spirit and makes me walk out as a better human. Okay, that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, it can, like, you gotta, the hard stuff is easy to be like heavy about, like, and you have to come at all of these things from a place of joy and excitement and high vibration, high energy, or you may not even take the steps because it'll feel so overwhelming and heavy, right? And so how do you surround yourself with people that support you, embrace you, bring you up? How do you keep yourself up and elevated? And so that when you do take those steps, it's not this heavy load that people feel. Because few people will want to invite that in.
Right. So how do you do that? How do you keep yourself in that higher vibration? Like, I know how I do. I'm curious. How do you ladies do it?
Well, I stay in gratitude. So I start my day. So we're very intentional when we start every day. So I started my day today with 5 things I'm grateful for. I write them down and I can feel that my energy is shifting. And then I say 5 things I want to create. And sometimes some are fun, short term, and some are longer term. We always, even coming here with you, we lit a candle. We talked about like, we wanted to have a great conversation. So there's an intention setting and a consciously trying to show up as my best self. And then when we're triggered, so that's another thing, when like maybe like something bothered us, it's really not about that, it's about ourselves. So we look within, and by looking within, and here's the thing, there's a readiness for everything. You don't need to push yourself, and you don't make yourself, don't judge how you're doing. The only diet we endorse is the judgment-free diet. Okay. Like, don't judge yourself. Okay. That is something that we don't want to do. And so I feel like, putting some practices, I like to meditate. I'd like to say I meditate every day. I don't, but I always have some sort of gratitude or prayer or some sort of dialogue going on that helps me be happy and maintain my energy level at a high level for everybody, because I think it's important.
Yeah. Yeah. I for me, it's always been about, the company I keep really helps me stay high, that, they're positive, they tell me honestly what's going on for me, but they're my biggest, baddest supporters ever. Right. And so that really helps me, because I can be my worst enemy. I think most of us can be. If I'm my own worst enemy, I'm great with everyone else. I can quickly turn on my own self. I have very high expectations from myself and can be a little tough on me. So they help me with that for sure. I really feel like, one of the things I've learned so much from Holli over the, 18 plus years we've worked together is, all of this work, and I shouldn't even say the word work, all of this development, all the development opportunities really are, should be fun. If they're not fun, I mean, we should be playful. And, when you're doing those hard things and getting downloads from the universe about what you need to be doing, you can always ask for partnership and support and help me understand. And, you'll get those little whispers or downloads or whatever, however it comes for you, a feeling in your body and your gut that this is the direction I need to move. And, trust that, you can create that active dialogue. And we're all about co-creation as a lifestyle, or conscious creation as a lifestyle. And so that requires some co-creation with the universe to do that. And so just know you're not in it by yourself. You have friends here in this world, and you have friends beyond this world that can really help guide you and have fun with it and be playful with it. And don't, like Holli said, don't be so hard on yourself as well.
I love that. It's interesting. I'm going to make a reel about it. I keep saying it, so I will do it, because I always do what I say at some point. But there's that reel going out, and it's actually, I think it's Mel Robbins who started it, and I adore her. So it's no knock on her at all, because I adore her. I love her masculine approach to everything. She's like, hit it out of the park. Let's do this.
She's a little scary in a great way.
Yes. Right. Yeah. But it is very more masculine versus feminine, like stepping into my divine, and sometimes I jive with that a lot. But my mentor is Gina DeVee, who's all about feminine energy. Sure. Right. So like, okay. Anyway, she says, no one's coming for you. You know this reel? No one's going to come save you. You're on your own. And there's something about that reel that I've seen it over and over, all these influencers repeating it. Like, no one's coming for you. You're the only one. And there's something in me that says that is BS.
That is.
I hate that.
I hate that. I have not heard that one.
No, I either, actually.
It's huge. And I just think, coming from trauma, abuse background, whatever, like all this stuff, I know what it's like to be abandoned and to feel alone, completely alone. And I think most women honestly do, like in some form. Right?
I agree.
But like you said, there is this thing you can tap into, and you are not alone. And if you seek co-creation with others, you're really not alone. And the energy just multiplies and gets exciting and fun. And
That's exactly right. Make that real. We'll make it viral too.
Oh yeah.
Because I agree with that. There's so much for you that is unseen. And then there's so much for you here. There is support for you. If you say you're alone, then you are alone.
Yep. Well, and you felt that way for a long time when you were younger.
I mean, you're never abandoned by the divine.
No,
but you feel like you're alone. You are alone from your own perspective, but you're never really alone.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Never.
And I felt like that until I was in my 40s. I mean, I was like, I grew up thinking, okay, well, this is it. I'm by myself. And then I realized, and I have this beautiful dialogue with all the divine, what angels, guides, God, I don't know. Okay. But they talk to me you know, in various ways.
And she talks back
and
often. Yeah.
I make demands. Okay. But in a loving way.
Yeah.
Okay. So I love that. I think you should make a reel when you're done with the wedding and done with all the other things. You should make a reel, and then we'll help you send it around, because I don't like that either. That's it's not truthful. It's not accurate.
Yeah, it's not. And I think when you're talking about fearless or fear and all these things, to when you're in that place of I'm alone, it's all on me, it's so heavy, you're going to act from a place of lack in everything you do.
Well,
Fear,
it's separate.
lack,
It's separateness. It breeds separateness, which
Mhm.
breeds all the things that we don't probably like in this world, is the separate, because we are actually all connected.
Mhm.
And we're not separate. We're not alone.
Yeah. And so how can you might be fearless, but it's going to be fearless with bitterness versus fearless with joy, you know,
Right.
like you were talking about gratitude and joy and that light fearless that comes and you're like, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not happening if you're mad.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think even just, you know, when you are in a struggle and you're trying to move forward and you're not getting there, just, I mean, rather than being frustrated, just laugh and go, okay, clearly my strategy is not working. I need some help. Like, bring me another strategy, because this clearly isn't working. So, I mean, I just think if you come at it from this joyful place, what you get is with more
joy.
ease and flow and joy. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can grit it out and get there. I mean, I'm a great example. You can grit it out and get there otherwise, but that comes at a price too. So
being, at least for me, I wouldn't wonder if it's true for you guys. When I've been in that gritted out mode, the cost is relationships, it's my mental health, it's my physical health. I'm currently recovering from, I had 4 years of a very toxic corporate type job. And when I left it during COVID, like you ladies, when I said, no, thank you, not for me anymore, and started this whole world of the strong and capable, it's taken me 2 years I healed so much. And now I'm finally getting to heal my physical self.
Yeah.
But it's taken that long to even, I mean, I was going to doctor after doctor saying, there's something wrong with me. I can feel it. And I had to go to specialists for them to actually, see it. But there's a real toll when you grit it out.
yes, there is.
Absolutely. And I love that you said that, because
Yes,
I think what happens is we house all these emotions in our body, and depending on our body and our makeup and whatever, we end up manifesting issues. I mean, I ruined my thyroid. There's so many things that I did, trying to kill it. And I think there's an epidemic of women with thyroid issues and with all kinds of other issues that are hard to diagnose.
Stress, anxiety.
And so, I mean, I think healing that emotional stuff, getting it out of your body, that's a pretty fearless thing to do, for sure.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
because you have to keep what we were talking about earlier. It's step by step by step. Like you can't give up on yourself, and that takes a different kind of fearlessness.
Yes,
especially when maybe you have kids, like you said, or these other demands, and you have to say, "I'm sorry, this is a priority."
Right.
Yeah.
And it always works. The universe always supplies it. It may not take the shape you think, or it may slightly change, or you may have a period where you've got to adjust a bit, but you're always fulfilled and rewarded if you make those important, monumental leaps that are in service to your soul, always. And we've seen it. Holli's a great example. You're a phenomenal example. I mean, it is exactly, it's what the universe brings. It just, but it's still scary to do. Really scary to do.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up here, what is, for the person who's still holding back, we've talked about all these little things. I feel like we've danced all around it. What would be your practical step of like, okay, if you're not ready, what is this one tip or practice that they could try to get themselves to this place of gratitude, to this place of desire, really, and radical honesty? What is the one small thing from each of you that you think could help?
Okay, well, I think that besides being honest and looking at your life, to like where is the area that needs the most change, I might go to the second area So let's not take on the big mountain. Let's take on a smaller one.
Because foothill.
Or foothill, like a little pebble or two.
Yeah, maybe.
And what,
just a peak, maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
just a little one, because
Yeah.
once you get some momentum,
Yeah.
so like look at that one and then be truthful about that, what needs to shift, and then ask for guidance, and then let yourself kind of lead. And once you have stepped over the pebble, then you're gaining confidence, and then just be open, just nudge into the bigger one. Cause we always have one thing we're stuck on, whether it's money, relationships, like the big things. Let's start with a little hill first. That's what I would say.
That's great. The
That is
other
great advice
that, Holli has talked and really practiced for quite a while. And it really helped me as well in terms of, as the kid who wanted to, travel to work in a helicopter and win an Oscar. Like I had all the big things. That's my big dream. And I was clear about all that stuff. And that is overwhelming because, the odds of that are very small, and, all the other things we could say about it. So one of the things that Holli has taught me, and I can find it in my life today, is what do I want to feel? How do I want, it's not about the things necessarily. It's about when I am living my life in joy and happiness and on purpose and with intent that feeds me and my purpose and soul, how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
And if you do that, then I think you can find those little, whether it's a tiny little molehill or a mountain, you'll be able to identify those things easier that don't quite serve you in that way.
Love that.
So, and you're going to, and then you, like Holli said, start with the small stuff. We don't have to, you don't get extra credit by moving the big things. Everything matters. All those changes are important. So.
That was fabulous. I love that. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
So good. So good. Okay. So I need you guys to tell the audience where they can find you, how they can get more of this magic that you guys create.
I love that. Well, come find us at
please.
LOAuncorked.com. We have a badassery toolkit if you sign up for our newsletter, and it tells you we use astrology, and it tells you your alias, and you can use that when you go to Vegas next time. Your alias, and then your superpower, your kryptonite, and then what you should just own and strut with your glittery high top sneakers. Okay. And so and
you can look up all of your friends and family and know exactly theirs too. So it's a great toolkit.
Thank you so much for having us on the Strong and Capable Brigitte. And we really are Brigette. Sorry.
It's all good.
Sorry.
I answer to it all. It's a lifelong thing here. It's fine.
Brigette.
I'm a Gina,
Jeanna. I know.
So I'm a Jeanna, Jenna. The whole thing. I get
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this has been wonderful. Thank you, ladies.